everyone, welcome to my page and a big welcome to those of you who are new here. I'm Nipu. I'm a mom of two, originally from Sri Lanka and now living in Perth, Australia. I come from a corporate background with years of experience working in both accounting and banking. Right now, I'm actually on a career break from my banking job. And during this break, I came across this amazing digital business. I wasn't really searching for something, but the opportunity came at the perfect time and I decided to take action. Now that I've had the space and time, I've been able to go all in. And I absolutely love what I do. It's flexible, it fits around my life, and I get to help other women build something of their own too. And today, I'm so excited to chat with someone really special, Dr. Susie. Susie, thank you so much for being here today. I know how precious your time is, so I really appreciate you taking the time to share your journey.
That's absolutely fine, Nipu. Thank you for the invite, and I'm blessed and honored to be here. Just before we start, I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Susie Jacob. I'm a general practitioner, a working general practitioner, still working in the United Kingdom. And I live here with my husband, who is a private chef by background. He's completely retired now, and within 14 months of me being into the business, and we also have a 16-year-old daughter who's doing A-levels. That's a short and brief about myself. Over back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction, Susie. Shall we dive into the first question?
Absolutely.
So you're a doctor, which is such a full-on and respected career, and a digital business is something completely different. What inspired you to explore this space in the first place, and how did you come across this opportunity?
Very, very nice question. Yeah. So everyone knows that as a doctor, you earn a decent salary, which is absolutely true. But what many people, don't realize, or it doesn't pass their mind, is to earn a decent income is you have to trade your time for money. So if you work for 50 hours a week, for instance, and that's what I was doing when I started this business, it's 50 hours a week that you're away from family, not getting involved in family businesses. So I was working an average of 9 to 12 hours a day, including Saturdays, sometimes like a half a day or even a full day on a Saturday. So hardly any time for myself or my family. And when you work so many hours, you are actually stressed and burned out. As I always tell all my mentees and all, some of the trainees, is less is more. The less you do, whatever time you're there, you're able to give your full, mind and soul to the job, and you might even go the extra mile. But if you're working 12 hours a day, every day, you kind of switch off because of burnout. And then because you can't show your frustration to anyone else, my poor family, including my husband and daughter, was getting the brunt of it. They didn't know what sort of mother or what sort of wife was turning up at the door after I would come back from work. And one day I felt like my daughter looked at me and said, "Mama, you being at home and not being at home is just the same." And that was just like a wake-up call for me, really. Because I knew that she was being very independent, and when she's 30 and when I'm getting older, but if I asked her to come home and she says, "No, I don't have the time for you," I would be we can't blame anyone for that. It would be because I didn't actually give her the time to be a mom, really. Prior to that also, during the pandemic, my husband actually was trying to switch jobs and he lost his job, and I was a sole breadwinner at that time. So again, overnight I lost about half of my household income, and that made me think that relying on a job is actually foolishness. Of course, pandemic seemed to be the extreme end of things, but if you just can imagine yourself, if yourself or your spouse or your children or your elderly parents back home, they are unwell and you need to take some time off work. If you were to take time off work, will you be able to, manage your household expenses? Now, from my point of view, if the answer to that question is no, then you do need to consider an extra stream of income or even this online business. So the second part of the question, I think, is how did I come across this?
Yes.
I wasn't actually looking for a business. It was just that my mentors, not even an ad, it was one of her posts that she was like enjoying time and financial freedom. And I came to know that she was earning nearly as much as what I was earning as a GP, and for spending about an hour a day, and she was working only 1 day a week. That fascinated me, and I was like, I'd like to do that. And she was in the doctor also, she was a nurse, so that even more intrigued me. And that's how I started looking into the opportunity, not specifically looking at an online business, but obviously because of this life, things that life threw into my life, I was thinking, yes, back of my mind, you have to think of a plan B if things don't work out and things like that. And that's how I, got into the online business, really.
That's amazing. I think a lot of people will really resonate that. And sometimes these opportunities show up when we least expect them, but they can open up a whole new path. All right, let's move on to our second question. So balancing your role as a GP with running a digital business must take some serious time management. How do you juggle both, and what does a typical day look like for you now?
So as I've mentioned, when I actually started the business, I was working 50 hours plus. Plus is the word that I have to say. It was not just 50 hours, it was 50 hours plus. So I didn't have a lot of time. But what actually, enticed me into this business model, because I did try a few things like crypto, I tried property and stuff, and a few other things I've tried. But what really, really actually attracted me to this business model is the flexibility. Because when I did when you're doing something like crypto or stock market things and all, there are certain timings that you need to do. Like my father does it all the time. He looks at the market closing times, buys, sells, things like that. Crypto is similar, although you can do other strategies. And also property, if you want to go view some place, it's between 9 and 5, and that time I'm actually working as a general practitioner. So basically what I understood is there was not much flexibility. Well, because this is an online business, I can work the business around me because it's a 24/7. When I'm free, I work on the business. My life does not revolve around the business. The business revolves around my life, really. That's the number one thing. That meant it's not going to disrupt my actual work as a GP, because at that point I was working that many hours. So I love the flexibility. I love the automation. That means you don't have to put in all the effort, because there are systems and processes in place which, a prospective client will go through. So the system takes care of that. So those sort of things made it very good for very busy professionals like the nurse, because in my team there's nurses, doctors, pharmacists, IT professionals, teachers and things like that. Very, very busy professionals, and we are all able to run this business because of automation, because it's online and we can work our life around it. Now, when I say you can work your life around it, I would say you would need to dedicate anything between an hour and an hour and a half a day. But again, the problem is no one has that, especially if you're very busy, you don't have that time to spend a continuous hour and a half. So what I did is I used pockets of time during the day, maybe 15 minutes before going into work. While I was doing my paperwork in the afternoon, I'd have the training on, listening to it in the background. Then once I come back home, settle down a bit, I would do about half an hour or so. And that's how I worked my business in the initial stages. And I was pretty, able to see results quite quickly. And within 14 months into the business, I was able to retire my husband first, which I really wanted to, because he was traveling about 100 miles a day to get to work and back. So it was a long commute. He had a couple of accidents also that particular year. And I said, enough is enough, and we are earning in the background, so that's fine. So that's how then eventually within 20 months into the business, I slowly started cutting down my sessions also. At the moment, I work from 50, I've come down to 28 hours. And it's been amazing. You would think, like, when you're in a good profession, you have all the money in the world to travel the world. You might have the money, but as I've explained, it requires a lot of your time and effort to earn it. Plus, I'm in senior management. I'm still in senior management, and one of my roles is in senior management. So sometimes when you're the boss, you're the last person to get annual leave. And when you're husband and wife working in high jobs, high profile jobs, you can't sometimes. There were times when we don't go on holiday together. We maybe meet up midpoint somewhere and then go our different ways and stuff like that. And now thinking about all those things, I think it's absolutely ridiculous, really, not being able to. You work so hard and you're not able to get annual leave together. So all those kind of things, is all out of the picture now, because now we go for a holiday several times a year abroad. I just back from a holiday about 2.5 weeks ago. I just went over an 8-day vacation to India and I'm back. And my husband's gone twice this year to India already. And we are planning on a few vacations coming up also during the summer and autumn and all. And all this is possible because we are working less. My husband's not actually is boss free. So we can work our vacation, our free time, family time around it. Now, but that happened obviously not first time. It happened like gradually when I started seeing results. But even now, that's what I do. I use pockets of time during my day because I work part-time. I have a bit more time to do, the business sort of things also now. But again, I do have other responsibilities. I'm still a practicing clinician at the moment. So this is how I kind of manage my time.
That's so great to hear. I love how you made it work around your lifestyle and not the other way around. That's what I love most about this too. So you mentioned that 14 months into this business, your husband was able to resign from his job. Such a powerful shift. What do you think made you that kind of transformation possible? And what are your future goals with this business?
Yeah. The thing is, I think what I love about our system is our business is the money is great. Don't get me wrong. The money is really good. I earn several times my income as a general practitioner, several months. Even last month, I earned 2 to 3 times my GP salary. But more than that, I think before the financial bit came, I had a mindset shift. Okay. So this business was able to help me in my personal journey, personal development. From being a very negative, rundown person to much more positive minded, and the courage and the resilience that I can do more. I deserve more. I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to have financial freedom. I know these are all sometimes questions that come in back of our, many people are suffering. Do I really need this? Do I deserve this? And I'm like, yes, I do deserve it, because now I can show the world that they do deserve this freedom. And you don't have to just go by the narrative saying and the narrative is go to school, study well, go to uni, do a professional course, and after that your life is sorted. I'm a typical example of a person whose life was never sorted. And after that, I climbed up the career ladder. I'm still in management post. And you'd think reaching that goal, you'd get time and financial freedom. What I understood is it has very little financial benefits, and more actually, it takes you more out of, getting your, out of your family life, because you tend to carry work back home. So when you're supposed to spend time with your family, you're still working. And then to come out of have the courage to, because when I started this business, I think I'm one of the early adopters. Now there are loads of doctors doing this business, but when I started, I was probably one of the first. There might have been a few, but I'm not very much aware. But now everyone knows, and the business doctors are doing this business, and I might be. So this business gave me the courage to step out of my comfort zone. It helped me shift my mindset. It helped me be the person. Now I can definitely look at the mirror and say, I'm not the person that I was 3 years ago. I am a much confident person. Even 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I could not imagine coming on live, being in front of the camera and talking to people, because believe it or not, I'm very introverted person. So when I do have interactions with people, it really sucks the energy out from me, unlike my husband, my daughter, who thrives with social interactions because they are extroverted. So for me to do this and to come out from my comfort zone is just by being in this business. So the financial bit is wonderful, but I think even more is how I've changed to become the better version of myself. So that is what I felt this business has done for me. Future goals is I'd like to travel the world. And probably I'm not ready yet to fully retire. I still want to work till I can. Maybe reduce a few more days, maybe come to working just 1 day a week, maybe. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. Maybe things might change. Maybe in 2 years' time, I'd say I'll quit. I call it quits, and I will just do this business full time. But not at the moment. At the moment, I still love what I do. So because I'm doing it less, I love it even more. So I would still want to continue as being a doctor at the moment and do this business on the side. But God knows, like maybe 2 years down the line, I'll say, no, I'm going to retire completely. But then that is it, isn't it? This business gives you a choice. You can continue to do your profession if you would want to, like me, or there are thousands of people in our community who hate their job or who just can't do their job because some family member, they might have a sick child, an autistic child who needs a lot more attention, and they just can't give that attention if they're still going into work. So you have an option. That means to, whether you love your job or hate it, to actually quit it completely, or like me, cut down and still do a bit of your hours just because you just want to be still hands-on in what you do. And still, and you have this security, this backup plan, so that that even on a rainy day, you don't need to be afraid anymore because you're covered.
That's honestly incredible, Susie. It really shows what's possible when you stay consistent and believe in the process. Thank you again, Susie, for sharing your journey so openly. I know your story will inspire so many, especially busy professionals and healthcare workers who might be wondering if something like this could work for them too. You've shown that the right mindset and system, it really is possible. And to everyone watching, thank you for tuning in. If you're curious to know more or just want to follow along, feel free to reach out or connect with us. We are here to show you what's possible when you take a chance on something new. Thanks again, Susie, for joining me today, and thank you all for watching. See you next time.
Thank you, Nipu, and God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless. Bye-bye now.